I'm just going to jump right into the chatting paranormal. And actually, there's already been a question or two posted that I'm supposed to address today for this event, this podcast. This will be a weekly podcast, too, I do want to say. Just recently, somebody asked, actually, it was my roommate, my amazingly awesome roommate that I actually went to college with. His name is Maximilian, if you will. He asked what the difference was between shadow people and ghosts. We recently were watching an episode of Dead Files, and this psychic lady on it she said she saw some black figures, and she wasn't quite, she believed that they'd be shadow people and not ghosts. And he said, well, what the hell's the difference? And shadow people are one of the most fascinating and interesting I'd say new, maybe I'm wrong on that, but it seems to be a generally new phenomena, these shadow people that people are seeing. And what I said to him, which ended up, I did some more research to see if I wasn't just talking out of my ass, but was accurate, that these people, these shadow figures, generally speaking, are thought to be maybe interdimensional beings, and not necessarily the spirits of people passed on. They are beings from another world, whole other plane of existence that we don't have any idea about. And do they look like black silhouettes wherever they're from? We have no idea, but to us, we see them as black figures. Dave Schrader's got this amazing first-hand account about seeing a shadow person. I think it was at Eastern State Penitentiary. I'm not going to tell that story. You got to go and see him. He's one of the greatest lecturers on the paranormal, and it's we were talking about stand-up comedy earlier. It's like watching stand-up when Dave is talking. He is one of the most entertaining and engaging guys out there doing this. But it's kind of interesting. I'll get back to shadow people in a very quick way, actually. One of the most common questions I get asked is, have you ever seen a ghost? Which is a natural question. And this is a question I actually wouldn't have even talked about on my first show, except that it just came up. And I myself got disproven over whether or not I have seen a ghost. It was 2 Octobers ago now. I was in Chicago. I just gave a speech at Ursula. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was Ursula's Chicago Ghost Conference. Willie Atkins and Ursula Bielski flip off year to year, and this was the year I was at Ursula's, which is held annually and will be this coming October or maybe it's going to be September. Check it out, Chicago Ghost Conference. I'm going to look this up too, chicagohauntings.com to find out the info on this one. But it's held at the Portage Theater in Chicago on the north side on Milwaukee Avenue. And it's an allegedly haunted theater, old movie theater that they rent out each week and each year. And this year, I can't tell you how excited I am. Josh Gates will be appearing at it. He hosts my absolute favorite paranormal investigation show called Destination Truth. And they do talk about, on that show, by the way, it's not just ghosts. They actually go looking for Bigfoot and aliens, and not really aliens very much, but they actually have done, and they've been my favorite episodes. And this year it will be October 4th and 5th at the Portage Theater. Tickets are on sale, and I'm sure there's a couple available. They do get very full, but this early on, I'm sure you have a shot. Don't miss it if you are in the Midwest at all. Drive in. There's going to be a great lineup. In addition to Josh, Dave Schrader will be there, who I mentioned earlier, and Jeff Bellinger, who is the host of a show called 30 Odd Minutes, which is another one of the best podcasts around. He has more of a television aspect to it now. But he's also the guy that's the researcher for Ghost Adventures, which you guys might know from the Travel Channel, and starring the faux-hawked Zach Bagans. A lot of people have a lot of very strong opinions of the show. I actually like it. It might be a surprise to hear that a ghost hunter type is actually a fan of the show, but I think it's outstanding. I hated it as much as you guys probably hated it at first, and then I actually gave it more of a shot and found out that the more you see that this guy Zach, as much as he comes off, as a guy who's and Ed Hardy wearing Lamborghini driving so-and-so, to be nicest about it. He's actually exceptionally sincere about his interest and fascination with the paranormal and trying to get to the bottom of everything. I have talked to people that have met him on a professional level, and he was never off. There was no chatting about the weather. It was always about the paranormal. And it wasn't because he was on stage. It was just, that's who he is. That's what drives him. So, once I heard that on top of everything else, okay, this guy's legit. He's the real deal. And as much as, part of watching that show is to really just enjoy laughing at the buffoonery or at the melodramatic reenactments. But it's actually, I actually do believe in the show, and Jeff Bellinger, who is the lead researcher for that show, will be at the Chicago Ghost Conference October 4th and 5th at the Portage, so you should definitely come out for that. But anyway, back to my tale. So this is an amazing event, and it's an exhausting event as someone who's appearing at it. I think it was 3 nights a couple of years ago. We had kind of a short meet and greet. I think we did a 30-odd minutes shoot on Friday night, and then went out to drinks afterwards, and then all day long Saturday, speakers, and then an investigation, I believe, and then Sunday was a whole another full day of speakers. And it's the amount you learn in this condensed amount of time is just beyond well worth the ticket price. As Dobie would always say, it's a steal at double the price. We finished up on Sunday night, just sheer exhaustion and overload, and I headed home back up to the suburbs of Illinois, where I am from, and I had a girlfriend with me. We were sitting watching a movie, and I just absolutely fell asleep, probably during the opening credits, just out like a light, and she didn't realize I was asleep, and she turned to say something to me, which, in so doing, woke me up. And when I woke up, I opened my eyes, and there was this black figure standing next to the bed, between her and the television, and it was standing up, leaning over her. It had its hands to its sides, and it was 100% opaque. I could not see through this object at all. It was still light in the room. Lights were still on. And it was just instant, and it was there. I didn't even have a chance to be afraid. It was startling, certainly, someone who's in the room that you didn't expect. And I just kind of pushed myself up in bed really quickly, and I said, "There's someone here." And in that, this full size, had to have been easily 6 foot tall figure, which, like I said, it was completely dark in its body, but it actually had a thin, light. I don't know if it was glowing, but it was a light outline around the body. No features at all. And it disappeared. I'm an editor, so I think of things, especially if you're talking about a fade, I'll think about it in frames. And I say it would be about a 3-frame fade, which out of 24 frames per second, it's about 1/8 of a second. Very quick. It didn't just disappear. It faded out, but it was a very quick fade. And I just kind of had the assumption and the belief that, okay, well, this theater I was at, the Portage Theater, it is allegedly haunted. Maybe something came back. And of course, I was dating a beautiful girl, as I'm wont to do. And so this thing was really scoping out my dame. Couldn't blame it. But, and that's what I believed entirely until just a couple of nights ago. So Max asks me, what's the difference between a shadow person and a ghost? And I told him what I thought I knew. And then I said, you know what? I've got one of the best books, one of my core books when it comes to ghost hunting or research, all this kind of stuff, is by Rosemary Ellen Guiley. It's the Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits. And it's been out for years now. If you don't want to, buy full book price from a bookstore, you can find it on Amazon, eBay, or I shouldn't say eBay, but half.com. I'm sure you could get it for just $5 or so. And it's this tome that generally you want to use it like I used it. Reference, oh, what is this? But you could actually, this is the only encyclopedia, I think, that you could just cover to cover read it all the way through and have a tough time putting it down, even though it's a big, thick book. So I read out loud to Max what the definition of a shadow person was, and I was getting the chills the entire time. Because it was just dead on to what my experience was. I wish I had it in front of me to read to you guys, but it says that the shadow person is primarily black, opaque in color, primarily seen in the bedroom, and usually seen while observing someone sleeping. And when observed, this shadow person vanishes instantly. So now I can't say now that I've actually seen a ghost. The whole librarian from the beginning of Ghostbusters, I can't say I've seen anything in that world anymore because I think I've actually seen a shadow person, which was really surprising, to say the least.